We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Tuesday, September 2nd here in Seoul. I'm Isujin, and this is News Generation. Joining us today is Brooke Prince.
Hello, happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Also, Kang Moon-ju's with us.
Good morning.
Good morning. And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So it's Tuesday, which means we're going to begin with our keyword news, where we look at a story that has been gaining traction over the past 24 hours. And today's keyword is Stray Kids. South Korean K-pop boy group Stray Kids has set a new record, becoming the first act to have their first 7 albums reach #1 on the Billboard 200 with their latest release, Karma. According to Billboard's chart preview article on Sunday local time, the album topped the chart, which ranks the most popular albums in the US each week, beating out Morgan Wallen's I'm the Problem and the soundtrack album for the film K-pop Demon Hunters. With this achievement, Stray Kids have now surpassed BTS, who previously held the record with 6 #1 albums, making them the K-pop group with the most chart-topping releases on the Billboard 200. So Moon-ju, so which albums on the Billboard 200 have you been enjoying lately, and what do you think Stray Kids' success reveals about the K-pop's growing global influence?
Yeah, I've been listening to some of the soundtracks from Demon Hunters, and this record of Stray Kids is incredible considering the Billboard 200 has started publishing this chart regularly on a weekly basis since March 1956. Stray Kids made history last year by becoming the first group to top the chart with their first 6 consecutive albums, and they've continued to extend that record to 7. This achievement reflects their immense effort, and thus they deserve a full recognition. And it also highlights the global impact of the K-pop. Groups like BTS, Blackpink, and Cat's Eye, or even those without Korean members yet produced by Korean entertainment agencies, are gaining worldwide attention. And I think this kind of proves that the appeal of the K-pop extends beyond the individual artists or like individual idol groups. It's just to the whole genre of the K-pop. So I think it is a very good thing to see, and as a passionate K-pop fan, it's very thrilling to witness this era and exciting to see what's coming up next.
Right, having 7 albums go #1 is crazy.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
It is. What
Yeah.
are your thoughts on this, Brooke?
Well, I am also a passionate K-pop fan, and I am definitely a stay. I've been listening to Stray Kids since their debut, and District 9 and Elevator are still 2 of my favorite songs to this day. And so it's amazing to see them climbing to new heights of success and global recognition as well. This group, they work extremely hard. It's like every time you look, they have another comeback out, or they're preparing something, or they're on tour. So they really deserve all of the accolades for their efforts. And I think, like Moon-ju said, it really just goes to show that the Korean wave, it's here to stay. It's not just a fluke. It's not 1 or 2 groups making it big and then fading out. There are many groups all over the world that are being just showered with appreciation. And again, as a K-pop fan, it warms my heart. I love seeing it.
Yeah, I just listened to their album Karma this morning, and
It's
I like
great.
the B-sides are also very good. I
Yep.
like Phoenix and Mess was pretty good.
I agree. And 0801 for the stays. Love that one too.
So with Stray Kids breaking records on the Billboard 200, it's clear that K-pop is continuing to cement its place on the global stage. Their achievement not only highlights the group's growing influence, but also underscores how far K-pop has come, now regularly competing with mainstream Western artists right at the top of the world's biggest music charts. And that concludes our keyword news for this Tuesday. And as we enter the second day of the work week, we're taking a closer look at the other side of the collectible craze. So let's take a look at the screen to learn more. With the popularity of collectibles like Labubus and Monchichis, interest in mystery boxes and limited edition merchandise has skyrocketed. This trend has its positives. Fans can connect with their favorite brands, complete collections, and even express themselves by incorporating these items into their fashion choices. But like any trend, there's a flip side. The surge in buying has led to growing amounts of waste, with discarded products piling up, raising concerns about the impact on the environment. So today on News Generation, we'll be exploring the world of collectible merchandise, from the thrill of mystery boxes to the environmental challenges behind the craze. As we just saw in the video, the craze for the collectibles and limited edition merchandise is stronger than ever. Whether it's mystery boxes, special promotions, or collaborations with popular brands, these items have been flying off the shelves. For many people, the thrill isn't just about the product itself, but the added bonus that comes with it. So something rare or exclusive they can show off or treasure. To start us off, let me ask, have either of you ever bought something not so much for the product itself, but because you really wanted the free merchandise or exclusive goodie that came with it? Brooke, do you want to go first?
Well, I grew up in the United States, and in the 90s and the 2000s, the Korean wave wasn't as big as it is today. I wish it had been, because I think I would have been all over the K-pop merchandise. But for me and for my siblings, it was all about the Happy Meal. So we would always go to McDonald's, not really for the food, but because we just wanted to see which toy we were going to get. They did a great job of marketing it towards families. And so for us, we had 6 kids, and that can be kind of hard to decide where you're going to go, but not for us. We wanted to go to get the Happy Meal toys. There were all these just adorable goodies inside. They would collab with various brands. We would have, Hot Wheels, Barbie, Tamagotchi, Beanie Babies, things like that. And of course, we'd fight if one of us got one that the other wanted. Just, happy, wholesome family memories. I have a lot of nostalgia around Happy Meals. Again, not because of the food. I remember the toys that came with it. I think that's the power of merchandise.
So do you have a toy that you still remember?
Oh, I really liked the Tamagotchis.
Oh, that's a pretty good toy.
Yeah, it was actually pretty impressive for the time. I liked those, and Beanie Babies, we collected those a lot as kids.
So what about you, Minju?
Yeah, as a huge K-pop fan, I was all about collecting merchandise, albums, keychains from groups like, Girls' Generation, SHINee, Big Bang. It seems like I'm old if I mention these kind of idol groups.
Second generation artists.
Yeah, but I still have, I do have an album from Blackpink also, most recently, I guess. And one vivid memory of myself is, when the movie Avengers was filming here in South Korea, I went to the COEX Mega Box to just buy the popcorn in order to get, the Avengers themed, bucket and the cup. I didn't have the time for the film that time, but the merchandise was irresistible. I had to buy that one before it sold out. So I can't find where they are right now, but it was just a classic young Moonju move.
I feel like there's merchandise for pretty much everything, like you mentioned, like movies or also like K-pop albums as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But I understand there's been some controversy in Japan recently surrounding this kind of marketing. So while they're exciting for fans, there's always a flip side. From what I've heard, some of these promotions have sparked debate over waste and consumer behavior. So could you walk us through what's actually happening? Why it's garnered so much attention, Brooke?
I sure can. So just this past August, a major burger franchise in Japan launched a special event where if you bought a specific meal set, you would receive a Pokemon toy and a trading card. Pokemon cards have global popularity, and the rare ones are so highly sought after that they can be resold at very high prices. And I actually used to have entire laminated binders full of these Pokemon cards. We threw them away during a move, but oh my gosh, I'm so curious as to how much they would be worth now. But the demand for these nostalgic cards, it really drove the event's success. And on the very first day, I think I read it was like by 1 p.m., every single card was sold out.
Wow.
So of course, this sounds great, sounds very wholesome, but there was a dark side in that many of the customers only really wanted the cards, not the food that came with it. So photos went viral on social media showing these bags of uneaten food right on the street with only the cards missing. It kind of hurts your heart to see that because there are people that don't have food, and so to see it be wasted is just, it's not great. And according to reports, the situation actually grew bad enough that the company, they had to cut the event short. They banned online orders of the meal sets, and they pledged that they would limit sales in the future. It was such a scandal that they had to release an apology, a formal apology saying that the campaign had caused a great nuisance to customers and nearby residents. So it was kind of like a good deed, no good deed goes unpunished. They wanted to do something cool and nostalgic and fun, but you really have to think about the unintended consequences when you're offering these sorts of merch events.
And another thing that happened with that I heard was like they usually sell for these Happy Meals usually sell for around $3, but
Very
that
cheap.
actually resold for like nearly $30. So that's also
you can make a profit. You see that with photo cards and albums as well. People do try to sell them once they have them. So again, consequences you wouldn't normally think of, but you have to.
But this isn't the first time we've actually kind of seen this kind of behavior, right, Moonju? I've also heard about how people have also been getting so focused on getting the collectible or limited edition item that they've actually thrown away the actual product or other items that came with it. And it continues to raise concerns about waste and the environmental impact of these promotions, right?
Yeah, this phenomenon is not new here in South Korea also, and also in the K-pop scene. These days, albums are sold just as CDs, but not just as CDs, but elaborate packages that include, photo books or like collectibles, photo cards. It's common for the same album to be released in different versions, with the different photo cards or even the different designs. So fans often purchase far more albums than they need in order to collect all the cards of all the members of idol groups. As a result, it's not unusual to see discarded albums on the streets with only the photo cards removed. Similar behavior has been reported at birthday cafe events, which fans rent a cafe to celebrate their idol groups or members' birthdays. Here, fans buy drinks solely for the cup holders or the photo card packets, then leave the untouched beverages behind. Even during the Pokemon bread craze, many people were seen throwing away the bread after just taking the stickers. It's a reflection of how the culture of collecting has at times, overshadowed the original purpose of the products itself.
So while the collectible craze is undeniably exciting and has captured the attention of fans worldwide, it does raise the question of how sustainable these trends really are, both for consumers and the environment. So to get a better sense of where people stand on this issue, we conducted a poll on the Arirang News YouTube channel asking viewers, what do you think about buying multiple albums or meal sets just to get the merchandise like the photo cards or toys? So the results showed that 36% said it's simply part of the fandom culture, while 40%, the majority, pointed out that it causes waste problems. Another 24% felt it's a mix of both, a beloved fan tradition that also has an environmental cost. But speaking of the environmental costs, the record-breaking heat waves we've been experiencing this summer are a stark reminder of the environmental challenges we're facing, which is why concerns about the impact of collectible culture are growing. So Brooke, could you help us understand the kinds of environmental issues that actually arise from merchandise-related consumer behavior, from excessive packaging to discarded products, and why this really matters?
Yes, the environmental impact of what we're talking about today is very real, and the numbers are different depending on the country and how they produce their CDs. But reports here in Korea said that just one CD emits about 500 grams of carbon dioxide because the raw materials are petroleum-based plastics that already release carbon, and then the pressing process that heats and compresses them adds even more. And these CDs can't be recycled or broken down naturally, so the only disposal method is incineration, which creates further environmental damage. And just to put this into perspective for you, for a popular group like aespa, for example, they had first week sales alone of 1.69 million albums. Amazing. However, that generates roughly 845,000 kilograms of carbon emissions, which is the same as flying around the Earth 74 times. And food waste also creates similar problems. We talked about the Pokemon Happy Meal controversy in Japan. When you discard food like that just for the sake of merchandise, it means wasted resources, wasted energy, and also methane gas that gets released during decomposition and leachate polluting the soil and groundwater. So basically, whether it's albums or it's fast food, if you are discarding the product and not actually using it just to get the merch, that can have massive and destructive environmental consequences that we all need to think about.
I mean, that's crazy. Thank you for putting that into perspective, because that's the idea of, flying around the planet 74 times being equal to these albums is the same carbon footprint.
It makes it sadder when you see them stacked on the street. You really think about the impact of each one of them.
And I guess you kind of mentioned the numbers are a bit different. Does it depend on the type of album, like the amount of?
I think so. I think American fans would be more used to these very simplistic CD cases. If you're not a fan of K-pop, you probably have no idea what K-pop albums look like. They're beautiful, but they also are they take a lot more to produce because of how much is inside them. So I think that's why we see differing numbers.
I'm glad you point this out because I feel like there's not that much awareness out there about this. So to gain a broader perspective, we'll also hear from a marketing expert on how these promotions work and their impact on both consumers and the environment. That conversation will take place right after the break, so don't go anywhere.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang News. Click Community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
Joining us today is Dr. Jared Watson, Assistant Professor of Marketing at New York University's Stern School of Business. Hi, Professor. Thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So marketing strategies like McDonald's promotions or album purchases that come with merchandise are quite common these days. Would you say they're effective marketing tactics even though they can create these environmental problems?
Yeah, there's huge demand when it comes to these collection opportunities. They operate basically on two psychological principles. The first of which is scarcity and FOMO, right? We want that thing before it runs out. And the reason that occurs is really because of something we talk about as social consumption. We want to be part of that broader community. We want to signal our identity by having these things that people we care about also have. And so in tandem, it really dries up the demand for these limited time offerings, which is great for the brand and probably less so for sustainability.
Yeah, that's a really great insight. My question for you is, do you think government regulations are necessary to minimize the waste and the environmental impact, or can the industry handle it on its own?
That's a great question. Can the industry handle it on its own? Yes. Are they likely to? Probably not unless they see the clear return on investment, right? And so that's going to come from consumers demanding this, or from understanding that there's an opportunity for innovation that can create that same sort of demand and scarcity, right? So what might that look like? Imagine a Pokemon promotion with McDonald's where you have a fun little Bulbasaur animal, but when you're done with it, you can actually plant it. It's compostable, and maybe it sprouts seeds into some sort of plant. What about, doing the same thing with a Weepinbell or another Pokemon, right? Where you can plant them and it becomes a garden of sorts. There's an opportunity to create intense demand through sustainability and innovation, but brands really want to see the ROI before doing so. So short of that, I think government regulation is probably going to be necessary to move the industry forward.
I see. So our last question for you today, Professor, is just switching a gear to the consumer side. As consumers, how can we enjoy trends like collectible merchandise while staying mindful of their environmental and social impact?
Perfect. I think one of the big ways to think about this, and I actually mentioned this a few months ago on the show, was you have to ask yourself, why do I want this, right? Do I really want this for myself? Or is it because of that FOMO element that I think I'm going to miss something out on? Because what ends up happening is if it's really driven by FOMO, come a day or a week or a month later when no one's talking about it, you don't feel the need to do so either. And then that's where things end up in the waste. Whereas if it's something that has inherent value to you, right? Maybe you're a big fan of that product, you think it's going to sustain and stick with you a long time, you're going to hold on to that. All right, so I think that's one big opportunity. The other way for us as consumers to think about engaging in this in a systematic and smart fashion is to think about the circular economy, right? And so that's to say, hey, I have these offerings that I really like. Maybe it's time for me to part with them, but there's someone else that I think is just like me a year ago or 6 months ago. Maybe it's a small child, maybe it's a new fan to the brand. And so think about offering these things on eBay or other marketplaces to allow that product to circulate before it ends up in a waste bin.
I think what you said about how it's possible to create demand while still being sustainable was really important. Thank you so much for sharing your insight with us today, Professor.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we just heard from a marketing professor about his perspective on the collectible craze, from the excitement and thrill of securing limited edition items to the growing environmental concerns that these trends can create. But the concerns aren't just being raised by critics, as both companies and consumers are becoming increasingly aware of these environmental issues. So Moonju, can you tell us what steps companies are taking to make this culture more sustainable?
Yeah, in a response to growing concerns over excessive consumer behavior, McDonald's Japan introduced several preventative measures, such as limiting the number of Happy Meals sold per customer and removing users from their official application if they have disrupted store operations during promotional events, and K-pop agencies are also taking similar steps by producing eco-friendly albums or versions that only include photo cards without the physical CDs.
Right. So also, I want to ask you the same question, Brooke. What are K-pop fans doing to address these environmental concerns? While K-pop fans obviously are not the only group affected by these issues, they have become a powerful force in shaping how merchandise is consumed. Are there ways they're trying to collect with more responsibility?
Yeah, Moonju mentioned what the companies are doing, so I'll go ahead and look at the fan side. Fans themselves are becoming more vocal. Within K-pop fandoms, conversations about album waste and birthday cafe trash are growing louder. There are groups like K-pop for Planet, which is a fan-driven climate action group that are pushing for real change. They are campaigning against plastic album mass buying and urging streaming platforms to use more renewable energy services. And this is very encouraging because K-pop fans are already known for being very good at bringing people together for charity projects and volunteer campaigns. And so I think if we can use that collective voice, we know very well K-pop fans can do anything if they put their mind to it. And that way we can help protect the environment while still enjoying our favorite things.
So while the excitement around collectibles shows no signs of slowing down, it's clear that both fans and companies need to think carefully about the impact their habits have on the environment. From limited edition albums to mystery boxes, what starts as fun can quickly contribute to waste and pollution if left unchecked. And the hope right now is that with greater awareness and conscious efforts on all sides, this trend can continue in a way that's not only enjoyable for fans, but also sustainable and responsible to show that you can celebrate your favorite fandoms without costing the planet. And this brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation, but News Gen will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time. Big thanks to Brooke.
Thank you so much.
And also Moonju.
My pleasure.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for watching, and we hope you have the best day. We are News
Generation.
Generation.